What is up, y'all? I'm going to be showing you how to grow spurred butterfly pea. It is a Florida native plant, not to be confused with the Asian butterfly pea, which is often just called butterfly pea. The Asian variety has blue flowers. It's not even a variety technically, it's a different plant. But the Asian version has blue flowers, the Florida native has pink, and the shape of the flowers is a little bit different as well. Today, like I said, I'm gonna be going over how to grow them from seed, and I don't have any full-size plants to show you right now, but by the time you're done, you can have one of these little guys, and they'll get bigger.
First thing you want to do is take your seeds and scarify them.
Fun fact, it's actually pronounced scarify.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to be using this piece of sandpaper. Ideally, you'd want something cleaner than this, but I don't really care. All we're trying to do is reveal that inside. This is just to help them soak up more water.
Then we need to fill a bowl with water and soak our seeds in it. I let mine soak for about 3 hours so they get nice and plump.
So now that our seeds are soaked, we just need to make some soil mix. I'm going to use this relatively sandy dirt I have in my backyard for about 50% of the mix, and the rest will use a generic potting mix. This is what that dirt looks like after we've sifted it a bit. You can see it's pretty sandy. And now we're just going to mix that with a 50% mix of potting mix. As in, there's going to be 50% this, 50% that. And now we got to mix it up. So this is what the final mix looks like. Could maybe use a little more potting mix in there, but it'll be fine. It'll be all right. It'll be good. All right, so now we just got to fill up our pots with some soil, and then we'll put the seeds in there, and then we'll go from there. So now all we got to do is put a hole about 1 inch deep into our pots, and that's where our seeds are going to go. So on the left, you can see the seeds that we've been soaking for about 3 hours. On the right in the bag are the ones that haven't been soaked. So now we're just gonna plop these things in the holes and cover them up. Now that they've been covered, it's time to water. Once all that water soaks in, we're going to do our final step, and that is going to be covering them. An important thing to remember is that your pots need drainage. So if you water them and they pool up like this, or they might even be pooling up on the bottom of the pot, what you need to do is poke a hole. And you can do that with a drill or a screwdriver, or really just anything. Anything that's sharp enough and that's relatively clean. And now that'll drain out. For the final step, I'm just gonna cover these up for 2 reasons. One is so that the humidity and the moisture is retained, and 2 is to protect it from any kind of critters that might be trying to eat my seeds. I'm gonna leave these outside on my patio in indirect sunlight. If you were to do this inside by a windowsill or like a grow light, then it wouldn't be so big of a concern. So there's many ways to do this. I'm going to be using a method that's been working out for me. You can kind of see it in the background here and here, where I've been propagating some cuttings. I'm just gonna put a glass mason jar or any kind of glass jar that fits over the top. So let's do it. So all I'm gonna do is take this, put my jar on top of it like that. That's it. That's the whole thing. The one thing you do want to make sure of is if your jars are of different sizes and don't fit super nicely, just make sure that they are centered on your seeds, and also make sure that they're clean. For this little guy here, since it's a little bit of an odd shape, I just have some press and seal or any kind of plastic wrap will really work. We're gonna just slap this over the top and get it to stay down. You're gonna wanna make sure that there's a hole or 2 in it, just because you do need there to be some kind of airflow or oxygen getting in there. You don't wanna suffocate everything. So you could just go ahead and poke the top of this with a toothpick, maybe just once in each hole there. And then that's it. We'll come back in a couple of days and see if we have sprouts. It is now day 3. I've been keeping an eye on the moisture level of the soil, and it's about time now where based off where I've kept everything, soil's getting a little bit dry. You can see what it looks like here. It's very crumbly. There are still a little bit of chunks here and there of soil that's moist, but it's not enough. So here's what we're gonna do. We'll pull out this here. Gonna take a spray bottle. My spray bottle is broken, so I don't have a nice mist setting. I'm just gonna go ahead and spray it. Not too much, just enough to keep it moist. Same with this one. I like to do the perimeter here. If you water it enough, it'll soak in the water from the outside. It'll wick through the soil. So there you go. If you want to see what the soil looks like on the top, where it's wet, this little part, there's where it's at. If you're curious or paranoid like me, I went ahead and dumped out one of these little seed containers and found the seed just to make sure that everything looked all right. And as you can see right here, this is the seed. I know the shadow's in the way. As you can see right here, this is the seed. And you can see that it does have a root. It's sprouting. I do not recommend doing this. I do not recommend pulling the whole thing apart just to check on your seeds. You kind of just have to trust the process. This is not going to be good for them. I'm just doing this to show everybody else what that might look like. Again, it's day 3. I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing back in the pot and we'll come back later. It is now Wednesday, day 4. Pretty much every day we're going to give the soil a light watering just so it stays moist. I'm gonna do the same technique or style that I did before with my spray bottle, where I'm just going to spray the edges a little bit. If you have a moisture meter like this, and you stick it in the soil, and you see this little line here, it's red, green, and then blue. The red is usually when you're going to want to water it again. It's going to depend on your plant and what you're doing and what stage it's at, but it's a pretty solid tool to gauge your soil moisture with. Get yourself one of those if you want. I'll link all this stuff down below in case you want to use the same exact things I have. If you want another look at what this dry soil kind of looks like, again, it's very crumbly, very dry. If you squeeze it, you see it just kind of cracks apart. I don't really recommend squeezing it and messing with it too much. Again, you don't really want to disturb the seedlings in there, but it's usually better to check a little bit than to overwater or not water enough. You still want your seedlings to survive. It is now Friday, day 6, and we have our first sprouts. Not every seed is going to sprout at the same time or the same rate, so a couple of them still haven't sprouted. Some of them have sprouted, just not as much, but the maintenance from here on out is pretty much going to be the same. I'm going to keep them covered with these jars I've been using. I'm going to keep them moist, and then once they get a little bit bigger, I will remove the jars and either put them in new pots or I will plant them in their final homes. It is now day 17, and as you can see, our happy little plants are just about ready for transplanting. You can see with this guy here, it has 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you can't really see 4. 4 is out of the frame a little bit. So when these guys have about 4 leaves on them, that's when you're going to want to look to start transplanting them. Out of the 10 seeds that I planted, there's about 6 of them that are definitely germinating and doing well. There is 1 that still has not sprouted out of the ground, but I did confirm that the seed is still growing. The other 3 I confirmed as kaput. The other 3 did not make it. They either sprouted. So we have about a 70% germination rate, which isn't bad. So now the final step, and I'm not really going to show it, is you're going to want to plant these next to a place that they can climb. So something like a chain link fence or a trellis. If you use these paper/peat cups, I don't think they're actually peat. They look like compressed cardboard almost. But if you use these types of biodegradable cups, what you can do is put these straight in the ground. When they get moist, they pretty much disintegrate in about a week or so. I've had some other plants that I've been planting where the roots actually just grew straight through the bottom of them. So you don't really have to worry about these blocking roots or messing with the roots of your plants. If you are really paranoid, what you can do is take a box cutter or scissors or something and cut holes in them just to allow the roots to escape easier. If not, you can just dump these things upside down, catch them. So you basically put your hand like this, and you flip it upside down so you catch it by the soil so you're not damaging your plant, and then you'll just have a little ball of soil with your plant sticking out and you can put that in the ground. And if you're using some other type of potting material like clay or plastic, you do the same technique. Just put your hand over it, cover the pot, flip it upside down, catch it, and put it wherever the hell you want.
Once again, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. Below the video in the description, I will link all of the things I used, or most of the things that I used in this video. So if you want to go ahead and buy them through Amazon, just know that anything you purchase through those links helps support me. They are affiliate links, to be completely transparent. And I'll see you next time.